arms towards the sun. You feel the warmth of the rays, and then you know you're alive and you don't have to be afraid.
Welcome to the Bassline, everyone. Julie Threet found herself injured after two Moderna shots. This terrible experience propelled her into medical freedom activism. She has been a vigilant and articulate spokesperson for the vaccine injured and for the freedom movement as a whole. After being red-pilled by her injury, she has emerged as a persistent and inspiring leader in our movement. It is my privilege to introduce here on the Bassline my friend, the exceptional Julie Threet. Welcome to the Bassline, Julie. How are you this morning?
Thank you so much. Wow, that was an introduction. I'm doing well, Jeremiah. Thank you again for having me. It's really important we continue to have these conversations. I find there's still too many people that aren't aware of the reality of what happened during COVID, the whole thing. And so, yeah, I'm here to spread knowledge, spread awareness, and then, maybe get people educated on what they can do about it. What can they do to fight this monster and start holding some people accountable, especially as we get into the election season and start seeing some changes in our elected officials. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, well, I'm so excited to talk with you. You are truly a remarkable individual. Um, it's really terrible what you've gone through on the one hand, but it's so inspiring to see someone who still shows such a strong fighting spirit as you do, which not everyone has, frankly. It's a great attribute that you possess. And I really meant it when I said in the introduction that you're an inspiring figure and a leader because you've really taken charge and done some really, visible activism where you're out there speaking and confronting people and addressing things in official environments. But before we get into some of this incredible activism you've been doing, can you just tell us about your injury and the
Sure.
circumstances under which, this happened and what you've experienced
Found
as a
myself here
result?
on Jeremiah's Baseline podcast. Crazy. I, would have never thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
looking back, it's just, again, it's kind of surreal a little bit. And I know God put me in this place for a reason. I know He's used me to bear witness to what went on during COVID and then to experience some of these injuries. And I find strength in that and a purpose in that. But yeah, so I work for public health. So, really quick, I had a career down in Silicon Valley, where I was born and raised, and was in high tech human resources for 25 years, was married, had a couple kids, divorced, remarried, had a wonderful life down there. And in 2011, my husband died. He was a police officer, and all of a sudden he was gone. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, wow, it was a shock, right? And we had helped built a whole life down there. And I then found myself hitting the age of 50 and hit the wall where I was burned out from the job. I hated my work. I was tired of the Bay Area, and I needed a complete change. So I found myself moving to Chico. So Chico, California is in Northern California, a couple hours north of Sacramento. You may notice Chico State University, Sierra Nevada Brewery. And my brother lives here. So I knew of Chico. We'd come up here a lot for Thanksgivings and events and things like that. So I knew, I knew people. Not very many, but I knew of Chico. And my sister-in-law was in real estate. So she hooked me up. And I literally within 3 months sold everything, a 5-bedroom house where I had lived with 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 kids, 2 husbands, and literally got rid of a bunch of junk and just packed everything up and moved to Chico. So landed here at the end of 2014 with not a clue what I was going to do because now I was fortunate. I didn't have to work. I had my late husband's, trust, and I had I was conservative. So I had built a pretty good career and again, didn't have to immediately go find work for pay. So I set up my house with my dogs and started to get to know Chico. I need to form my new community and get to know people. So I joined the Elks Lodge. I am a daughter of the American Revolution. So that chapter, I transferred my membership. I Newcomers Club, went and joined them. Try to find my GOP party, go to those lunches. And then I found myself drawn to Enloe Medical Center. So Enloe Medical Center is the main hospital here in Chico and Butte County. It's the only trauma 2 hospital north of Sacramento. So it's a big deal. 200 beds, it's private. It was built in 1913. Dr. Enlow set it up, and people here rally around that hospital. I mean, they are born there, they die there, they work there, they give their inheritance there. Their foundation is billions of dollars. So I had seen an ad for a patient ambassador, which was a volunteer position in their volunteer services group, where you go every week to a certain assigned spot based on your skill set, or where you like to work, and you basically are a patient advocate. You do anything non-medical to support that group of nurses, doctors, whatever, on whatever assignment you're given. So I thought, wow, this is fantastic, right up my alley. I kind of wanted to be a nurse at one point, but that didn't work. So I went into human resources. But so I went and applied, and it was fantastic. They have about a 300 staff of volunteers who do everything, again, non-medical. And you get a badge, you get a uniform, you get training. It's like having a job and a place to go. So as a widow, where I could very easily just stay in my bed all day, right? I'm like, no, I had a purpose, get up every Thursday and go over to Enlow, where I spent 4 hours on the third floor, which is the ICU neurotrauma unit. So that one really spoke to me. It was where you see a lot of the people that come with motorcycle crashes, or surgery recovery victims, the brain issues, this sort of thing. So I would go there and, again, just support whatever the nurses needed me to do. Do they need me to go fill up everybody's water jug? Do they need me to sit with one patient who is just alone because they maybe had been life flighted in from some remote location and they need company? So again, that I found that to be really rewarding. So I started to work at Enlow, started to take classes at Butte Community College, so where Aaron Rodgers went, by the way. And I took
Yeah.
every medical assistant class that they had, medical terminology, anything to do with maybe getting a certificate in medical administration. And then I found my work expanding at Enlow to include the gift shop. So went there once a week. And then they wanted me to join their board of directors. So joined the board of directors. And so it really became my life. I mean, met all my friends, went on vacations with people, worked all these special events for the foundation, the golf tournaments. And so it was really everything that I could see for purpose in life. And in the same time, so that's 2014, I was getting to know the community. I was going to city council meetings, going to school board meetings, because I've always been a big proponent of, the democratic principles, et cetera. But I never had time. I mean, when you're working full time and you got the kids, you don't have time necessarily to go to every school board meeting or whatever. So I started thinking, well, let me see what's going on here. I pay property taxes, so let me go check out the school board. And then, and same thing with city council. So that was all going on. Well, 2020 hits. Okay, all hell breaks loose. Well, we got a virus called COVID. And, Chico is a crazy little town in Butte County. We've had our share of disasters. So 2017, our dam, the Oroville Dam, which is the biggest reservoir in California, the emergency spillway starts to fail. And this reservoir is about to flood Oroville, which is the second biggest town in Butte County. So we had to evacuate all of Oroville overnight. It was crazy. And half the people came to Chico and half went to Sacramento. So we dealt with that at the Elks Lodge. 2018, we have a campfire. Blows through Paradise, which is literally right across the ridge from me. So I woke up at that November morning in 2018 to hell on earth outside my front door. Paradise had exploded in fire and 88 people died. And people were stuck in their
Whoa.
cars in this fire. It was Maui, right? But it was Paradise. It was the campfire. So I immediately jumped into to advocate for that. I mean, I was up there on that ridge helping people recover, and still to this day, it's a horror. I mean, it literally 20,000 structures, 20,000 homes gone overnight.
Whoa.
That was 2018. And then then we had more fires, and 2020 we have COVID. So we jump in as a community into helping each other. So of course we're like, what do we do? And the hospital had to close to volunteers. And it was very odd. I mean, at one point I ran out of toilet paper, and I was dating a guy, and he knocks on my door with a bunch of toilet paper. And I was like, you might as well be, bringing me a diamond ring at this point. I love this guy, right? Bring me the more toilet paper. But anyway, so, and my daughter is a medical assistant down in the Bay Area in Pleasanton. So she's working at a respiratory clinic. So she is calling me crying. This poor young girl loves her job, but she's like, there are a lot of cars and a lot of chaos and patients coming in, and she's like having to work 12-hour shifts while her friends who are non-essential are getting big stimulus checks to be at the beach, right? So I'm worried about Hannah. And then my mom is in her 80s in Sunnyvale, but she's super active. And so she, I'm like, Mom, stay out of the, wherever. She's like, no, I'm going to keep doing my life. I'm like, okay. And she's calling me upset because she goes walking every day, and she's walking past the nursing home where family members are standing in rose bushes looking at their loved ones. And my mom's like, why are they doing that? Why aren't they I'm like, Mom, there's this COVID thing and they're afraid of whatever. I don't know. It's a tragedy. So that was 2020. And so we did a lot to support our nurses who were heroes, et cetera. But 2021, when they start rolling out the vaccines, of course, we're all in, because we know this, we were told by our public health department and our obviously our leaders at Enloe Medical Center, this is the way out of this. This is the way that your daughter will no longer have to be crying every day, or your mom will have to be seeing people in rose bushes looking at their loved ones, and you will protect yourself from getting this horrible thing, and or you will protect grandma. So why not, right? And so I signed up to volunteer at these mass vaccination clinics in Chico, and it started in January of 2021. And so took 2 shots of Moderna because, again, we were, you rolled them out by age. So the first people to get the shots were over 75, or they were the healthcare workers. So took the 2 shots of Moderna, and the second shot, I did not have any knot in my arm. So the first one, I had a big knot in my arm, like it stays in your arm kind of thing. And I mean, it was obnoxious. I had to, take the Advil and stuff for a week. It was crazy. But so the second shot, I was like, that was odd. Let me get a different nurse. Maybe the nurse did it wrong, right? So I'm like, change arms, change nurse. So I did not have any knot, but I immediately get brain fog. So brain fog, which people talk about as this vaccine side effect, it's weird. It's not like you're having a senior moment. It's not like you're forgetful. It's like you're sitting there and you remember just doing something, but you're kind of like not there. And you're like, to the point where I decided to go to a doctor. I'm like, this is not right. I don't want to, what is going on? So I go to a neurologist. So now it's January, February. I'm working probably 2 or 3 days a week at every single vaccine clinic they've got. We're giving 200 shots an hour. I'm filling syringes. I'm writing out vaccination cards. I'm working with the nurses to hand out the syringes. I'm cleaning up blood or whatever. And so, and I love it. I'm Rosie the Riveter. We thought we were heroes, right? So in the meantime, so I'm working at the clinics and I'm going to get this brain fog dealt with. I have no clue it's a vaccine. I don't even think to ask at all, because all we heard about maybe was blood clots. So by the time I get my brain scan back and the neurologist, I'm sitting there with him, it's like May. And he's looking at this brain scan. And of course, I'm thinking there's nothing wrong. And he's like, you've got a lesion on your brain. I go, excuse me, can you repeat yourself? And I'm looking at the copy and there's a little arrow to my right basal ganglia. And he's like, there's a lesion. I'm like, where did that come from? He's like, I don't know. He goes, you're lucky you haven't had a stroke, or, and we're just gonna, I go, what do I do? You're going to give me some medication or surgery or what? No, there's nothing you can do. We have to watch it and monitor, see if, hopefully it doesn't turn into a brain tumor or you get MS. I'm like, MS? I'm like, oh, well, okay. So now I'm a super positive person. What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. Fine. I'll go back in 6 months to get another scan. End of story. And the brain fog had kind of cleared by that point. So here I am. It's like May. Well, I then start to bank in my brain that is quote unquote damaged what I'm seeing at these clinics, which is people talking, especially these young women, the Butte Community College nurses, the nursing students, menstrual disruptions. I don't have my period. I've had my period longer. I'm off cycle. I've never been, on a regular basis. And so here I am working with these young nursing students for 4 hours a day, hearing them talk about this, or people coming in for their second shot, talking about their menstrual disruption. So I corner Dr. Andy Miller, who's our medical officer, in the lunchroom. I said, look, I've got a daughter. She's working at these clinics down in the Bay Area. I want grandchildren. Are these shots causing these menstrual disruptions? No, it's safe and effective. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads, right? I'm like, okay. So, but again, as time's going on, I'm seeing other things. I tell you, Jeremiah, Chico State. So you had to get the shot to run track at Chico State. Well, you had to take the shot to work there, go to school there, whatever. But they sent in their track team one day, and this beautiful man, track star, sits down in the chair where I'm working, and I hand the nurse the syringe. She puts it in his arm. You literally could see his immune system, which, I mean, big muscular man. He leaps and he grabs onto her. He falls to the floor in a full on seizure. So he's on the ground with the seizure, and I'm screaming for the doctor, Dr. Miller, Dr. Miller. He, get his bag, comes over. And so they're treating him for the seizure. Well, people are still getting their shots in this big warehouse. I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, I'm like watching this, and they're like, people are still getting their shots and waiting their 15 minutes. So I'm like, why is there a kid on the floor with a seizure? And but it was just bizarre. So these things were all banking in
Wow.
my head. And I mean, I have no idea if this, I mean, he walks, I mean, I believe he got up out of his own volition, but, they didn't tell us about VAERS, which is the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, which is the CDC's supposedly early warning system. They didn't tell us about
Mhm.
that. We gave every patient a little flyer for V-Safe, which was this app that you put on your phone to get your next appointment and to call if you had any questions. I didn't need the app. I worked there. So, but nobody said anything about bears. So that happened. And that summer, and I'll just end it on this part with my injuries. It's just crazy. So that summer, our mass vaccination clinics come to an end. I've probably been responsible for handing out 35,000 syringes is my count, right? Which is again why I get active with this thing. But so I get tinnitus, which is a screeching in your ear 365, 24/7. There's nothing you can do about it. It's always there. It is a hell. I
Mm.
tell people that are parents, if you want one side effect to make you not want to get your baby a shot, it's this tinnitus. You want your baby who will not be able to tell you why their ears are screeching 365. It's don't get the shot. But so that happened during the summer. And my sister-in-law gets hooked up to a dialysis machine after her second shot of Pfizer. And here we go. So we're kind of back to normal towards the end of 2021 when that Christmas break, I'm researching in a space called the Swiss Policy Research Foundation. Go to that website, Swiss Policy Research Foundation. And I'm scrolling through this vaccine injury site, which I'm like, what is that? And up pops an article. It says 26-year-old gets MS from her vaccine. And there's a copy of her brain scan. It looks just like mine. And I went, oh my God, I'm freaking vaccine injured. Oh my God. I literally right then and there, I went, my dogs were staring at me. I'm like, I'm vaccine injured. I'm vaccine injured. I'm vaccine injured. This is
Wow.
the vaccine. And so I print that out and I'm like, God, what do I do? I mean, Jeremiah, what would you do? Do you go, run to your employer and say, excuse me, you poisoned me? I didn't know what to do. I loved this job. I loved my life. And it wasn't, when I went back to work, after the Christmas break and in the gift shop that one day in January of 2022. And my boss walks in and says, if you want to continue to work here, you need your booster. I looked at her. I said, are you freaking insane? Let me show you my brain scan. Let me show you how bad is my batch.com. Let me show you this other article. Let me show you, Robert Malone. No. But I didn't know. I mean, I had to think about it because that was my life. I had to decide, do I risk my physical health, take another shot, and keep on this trajectory of working for the hospital with my family and friends and purpose and 3 days a week? Do I come home and now have nothing to do, no purpose in life, but I'm physically well, but now I'm mentally, have some depression happening. So, but I walked. So that was 2022. That was my year story. And then I've since had 2 detached retinas, 5 eye surgeries. So this vaccine, and now I know, and Lindsay House, who you've interviewed, the nurse, she goes, Julie, that second shot that didn't stay in your arm, it ran through your body and hit your vagus nerve and immediately bounced up to your brain. And that's what caused the lesion. And now everything in my head, so my tinnitus in the ears, and now 2 detached retinas and 5 eye surgeries, it's all up in my brain. It's all neurological for me. No heart problems, no, obviously I'm too old for menstrual disruptions, but yeah. So for me, it's the neurological. And I went, oh, great. File my VAERS report. Here you go. And now I'm pissed. Now I'm mad. Who the hell do I hold accountable for this? Who's responsible? Who's not doing anything? Because I wrote the hospital and I wrote the CEO. You need to recall these lots. Here's these 2 lot numbers. Recall them. Forget the whole bioweapon thing for a minute. Let's just say it's a bad lot. Let's just say it needs to be recalled. Like, you would a can of chili in the supermarket. My God, we
Hmm.
have a big mass. You hear all over the news, my God, bring back your chicken to this. Well, bring back your freaking vaccine.
Groups.
So, like, come on. And nobody does anything.
Wow.
And I'm like, what, are you people insane? So, yeah.
Yeah, wow. So that was a whole lot of information that you shared with us, and wow, what a powerful story. I mean, first of all, I'm glad that you're so intelligent and lucid despite your brain being injured by these shots. You don't sound like you have brain fog right now at all. You sound very
I
on
tell you,
point. So,
I'll credit Dr. Ariana Love. Dr. Ariana Love was the first person who I talked to on Clubhouse, the social audio app, and one of Steve Kirsch's sites. And she goes, Julie, contact me, and which I did. And she's in Finland, but she hooked me up with this ASEA, ASEA cell signaling supplement. It's a water. And because Moderna were my two shots, Moderna has 3 times the lipid nanoparticles. And I knew that working at the clinics because we had, zero point 0.5 syringes for the Moderna days and zero point 0.3 for the Pfizer days. I'm like, oh my God, why would I have gone with Moderna? Right. I mean, seriously, it's got more with these lipid nanoparticles. Great. So I don't know, but so that ASEA water, so I drank like 6 ounces a day for like, I think it was 3 months. Oh, it cleared it up immediately. It's the one thing I will not stop. I drink 2 ounces a day, like clockwork, and it keeps whatever. If there's any brain fog, it's gone. So yeah.
wow. And it's also really, I have to say, it's very admirable that you were able to, readjust your mindset based on the reality of what occurred. Because so many people, it's a bizarre feature of this whole event that so many people they have this original notion, and then as they become vaccine injured, or even just as new information becomes available, they're not adapting to it. A lot of people seem sort of stuck on plan A.
And I don't understand that, Jeremiah, at all, because I well, and it is weird because when I first, again, now here I am in 2022 in January going, what am I going to do? Okay, let me go start researching more. And I found Steve Kirsch's VSRF, right, the Vaccine Safety
Yeah.
Research Foundation site, his Zoom calls, and then joined the Clubhouse after show time. And it was weird because I was stuck between the pro-vaxxers who will attack me relentlessly and call me a liar, call me, you don't know, how do you know, prove it, da da da, whatever. And then the anti-vaxxers who are like, how stupid are you? How dumb were you
Oh,
to take these shots? Are you not stupid? Gene therapy, they were investigating only 10 months to make it. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, bam, bam. I'm getting it from both sides. But
rock in a hard
and then
place.
admitting you were bamboozled is not an easy thing to do, right? Either. You were played. So I'm like, I had to admit to myself, yeah, you were played, Julie, so don't let that happen again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wish this hadn't happened to you, but again, hats off to you for at least mentally adjusting to the reality of the situation, which not everybody has the wherewithal to do.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd like to ask you um, about this great attribute of courage that you have to be injured and to get up off the canvas and fight for your own rights and fight on behalf of the human race. Just what do you attribute that to in terms of that being this quality of yours as a person?
Well, I mean, I will attribute a lot of it to my mom. So my mom, who was a hero to me, who died from 4 shots of Moderna, by the way, that's another reason I fight this thing. So she was a fighter her whole life. So she would stand up if something wasn't right, whether it was something in the neighborhood or they tried to close our high school, and she got really active. And she would, take us around the neighborhood to put, the door hangers for certain candidates that she wanted to support. So, and she would not let anybody take advantage of her. She was the nicest, most caring, kindest person on the entire planet. But if you crossed the line in terms of taking advantage of her or somebody that she liked or whatever loved, oh, she would let you know. And she had this stern tone to her voice that you would like, okay. So I definitely
Mhm.
attribute it to my mom. Somehow, some way, and I'm a daughter of the American Revolution, like I said, which means you have to trace back and prove your lineage to a fighter, a patriot in the American Revolution. You literally have to fill out this huge long form and show birth, death, all the way 10 for me, it was 10 generations back. And you have to show birth records, death records, the whole kit and caboodle. So my mom got us established. She proved and found our patriot. And who was not George Washington. He was a guy that helped bring supplies for the cause, which I thought, okay, you're bringing whiskey to the front line. That's cool. I like that. But so then for me to fill out my form to become a certified member of the DAR, I just had to give my information, right? So somewhere in my lineage, I've got a patriot, and he's up there going, "What the hell? You're not rolling over." I mean, I didn't get your country free for you to now be like all murdered by some obnoxious, global World Economic Forum, Bill Gates, whatever,
Yeah.
people. Get your ass out of bed and start saying something and start fighting. Obviously, you don't need a gun, but maybe you could use your other weapons, which is your knowledge and your voice. And so that's what I've done. I'm not going to let them down.
Oh, that's incredible. So, yeah, let's get right into this activism that you're involved in because I've seen you speaking podiums where you were addressing official bodies. What are those events? Where have you been able to speak?
Yeah,
And what were you trying to impart when you got
yeah.
those opportunities?
I tell you, it's crazy. So again, having at every one of your elected, official meetings. So city council, school board, county board of supervisors, the planning commission, the water commissions, whatever. Um, every one of those meetings, you as a public have usually it's 3 minutes of public comment to basically bring your grievances and lay them at your elected officials' feet, right? We're supposed to have redress of grievances. Well, how do you do that? Of course, you can write emails and letters and all this, but I'm like, oh, you can actually go to these meetings. And one of the first things on the agenda is called public comment or business from the floor, items from the floor, which says if there's something you're mad about with the city officials or the school board or the county, you got 3 minutes to tell us about it. Now they can't have a dialogue, but it's just there's 3 minutes. So I started doing that even before COVID when I was pissed off about something, um, um, the alarm policy. So I had a house alarm, and all of a sudden the city's like, "Hey, if your alarm goes off, but nobody's breaking in, and it happens more than once, we're going to fine you." I go, well, that sucks. I go, what is so anyway? So I go complain. And during COVID, I went to the school board meetings to try to get the masks off the kids, right?
Yeah.
So spend my 3 minutes. Why are you masking up these children? It's ridiculous. So I knew the process. So I knew, how to go about it. And at first it's not comfortable. It's awkward. You're on mic and you're a little bit like it's somewhat difficult, but the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it and the more that it becomes kind of second nature. So yeah, so I'm like, so the county board of supervisors here in Butte County, they own public health, meaning they have oversight for public health, meaning I elect those people to have oversight over the public health department that purchased the vaccine, stored the vaccine, rolled out the vaccine, and is supposed to, notify the people about the vaccine. And they were obnoxious about it in 2020, right? In 2021. Oh my God, every meeting, we only have 30% vaccinated. We have 1,000 outbreaks and cases, and there's a big surge in the hospital. And I started to watch this going, you're gaslighting us because I'm at the hospital, Jeremiah. There's no surge. There's no outbreak. I'm sitting there literally in the gift shop in the main lobby while this woman is yelling at me, this public health director, Danette York. There's overflow at Enloe Hospital. Oh my God. That next meeting, I walked my ass up there. I said, look, I work at that hospital. There's nobody there. Let's have our next meeting at that lobby. And you tell me where these surges, and you're gaslighting. You're either straight up lying or somebody's lying to you, but you're not telling the truth, not being honest with the people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm like, and
I
that
like
was before
that
I really
line.
knew I
That's a
was
good one.
injured. Yeah.
I like that line. Either you're lying or someone's lying to you, but you're not telling the truth. It's
You're
like
not telling, being
nice
honest.
little.
And
I'm
so,
gonna remember that.
you kind of think that you're making an impact, right? And then they're like, and then I started bringing the materials with me, like, because I'm starting to spew all these facts, like, and they're looking at me, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to bring them to you in writing and give them to you in writing and send emails and public comment, all this. But so at the end of the and so the at the city council, I'll go there and say, "Hey, you guys, we are a bunch of poisoned people in this community. If anybody's poisoned here, can you notify me? Here's my email," right? I'm trying to find more victims. Or at the school board, I go, "Look, you really push these shots on your teachers and your students. If you want to get detox strategies, here's my card. Give me a call. I'll help you guys detox and make sure that you're a healthy community here at school." Right? I'm like, they don't have any responsibility for the vaccine, but I could have a way to address the problems with the shots.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here I am. And it's the county drives me crazy because, and so we had three conservatives, so quote unquote conservatives, members on my own GOP Republican Party, and two radical left Marxists. Okay, when I started this fight, because Chico is very blue, Chico State. I mean, Chico State, and they are all in with the medical establishment. They think public health is like God, like everybody should get a million different vaccines. Everybody should get STD tested. I'm like, the freak. And very blue city, but our county is red. So it's a weird mix. So one of the 2022, we had a chance to overturn one of the seats, get this radical Marxist mask Nazi out of office and replace her with a conservative, Pete Durfee. I'm like, I'm all in to support Pete Durfee. He's a Chico police lieutenant. So I'm like, this is perfect. He's going to investigate. He's going to want to go lock up the vials. So I literally spend money. I walk the streets. I do everything I can to harvest ballots for this guy, Pete Durfee. Yeah, he gets elected. I mean, I'm talking by like 100 votes. Like it was back and forth. Like we knew we had to, you got to
Oh,
vote, Pete. So
no
yeah, every vote
hanging
counts.
chads over there.
Yeah. Oh, we literally were counting ballots until like 30 days after. It was crazy. We were harvesting ballots, like knocking on doors afterwards. So he gets elected. I'm like, this is fantastic. So now it's 2023 January. Yay, take office. He literally looks me in the face and goes, "Oh, Danette York is doing a great job." I go, "Oh my God, are you insane? Are you?" So I start,
Oh.
I mean, we will literally, me and Diana Dreiss, Diana Dreiss is a fighter. She's the other person that I get inspiration from at these county meetings. She's not vaccinated, but she's got it on her heart to make sure that she does not leave the planet until these supervisors and Danette York are locked up and in prison and in orange jumpsuits. She would literally say something worse. But anyway, so she looked at Pete Durfee one meeting and goes, "You know what? You carry a gun. Do you know that your oath of office is defective? And if the UN was to march in here and Bill Gates was to tell you to shoot us up with poison, that you'd have to do it. Are you aware of that, sir?" I'm like, "You've got a
That's a
gun."
good
And I don't,
one. I like
so
it.
we don't hold back anymore. But so yeah, it's, but what else are you gonna do, Jeremiah? I have not I'm so my grandchildren look at me and they're like, "What do you do, grandma?" I'm like, I fight the government. I'm a freedom fighter. What else can I say? I'm not gonna let these people off the hook."
Yeah,
So
that's great. I love your commitment. And that's really a great example for all of us. You can actually go out and engage these processes that are happening. Go make your voice heard. And also, like you said, you might be nervous at first, but you get sort of nervous system conditioning through the experience, and you can become a more effective public speaker through experience. So don't
yeah,
worry if
I
you're a
I
little nervous at first.
I
That's
do. I tell a
perfectly
lot of
natural.
the young people, I'm like, just go down there and just go up and because you need to know the process. Like, do you have to fill out a card, a speaker card? So, like at the city council here in Chico, they are very hardcore about their rules. You have to fill out a speaker card and submit it before the meeting starts. You can't like halfway through raise your hand and go, "Hey, I want to talk about this," right? So they're very clear about that. And sometimes they'll give you only 1 minute. If there's a lot of people there, they will only give you 1 minute. And you're like, "Wait a minute, I just sat at home and memorized a speech for 3 minutes. Oh, good." So you got to get used to the process. And but at the county, they're a little more flexible. So I can raise my hand at one point. "Hey, Todd Kimmelshoe, can I come up and speak?" So you get to know the process. But I go, just start with anything. What are you mad about? Are you mad at, school board? Are you a kid that's mad about the lunches, or you don't have a playground or whatever? Go down there and talk about it. I see little kids go up there
Right.
all the time. It's kind of cute. So then you get to learn.
Yeah, that's a great lead into my next question, actually, which I'm hoping that we could sort of have a brainstorming session right here in terms of what are all the various things or some of the various things that we can do to help contribute to the medical freedom movement, to specifically this struggle of no more medical mandates, withdraw the COVID shots, no more mRNA injections, no more mRNA in our food, et cetera, et cetera. No more gain of function research. Um, there's so
Yeah.
many goals that we should have on our list of goals. But what are some some of the ideas that come to mind for you off the top of your head in terms of what the medical freedom movement in general should be focusing on, and two, how an everyday person who's not really involved yet but concerned can now get involved? What ideas come to your mind?
Oh, I'm an idea person. I always tell people, and they're like, because they sometimes get overwhelmed with me. I'm like, I can't help it. I literally, and I sometimes thank Moderna for these shots because I think I have more ideas now that I was shot with the poison. I'm like, okay, I got a million ideas. If one doesn't work, I got about 10 more. But so, yeah, in addition to helping support more active people like me or T-Bird or Nurse Lindsay, I mean, share our information, share our stuff on social media. Um, it's, get out in your community and try to speak up if you can. And then obviously do not comply ever again. I'm like, you come at me one time more time with a mask mandate. I want you to this time. I want you to bring it
Right.
on with a mask or an isolation or a quarantine or a freaking plexiglass at Safeway, whatever it is. No, I'm going to tear it down.
Yeah.
So you learn that lesson, right? And then locally find out who is responsible. Who made the decision to lock up your seniors in your nursing home? Who literally who's the name of the person? And then keep going after them because at some point I'm like, and this is my other call to my county. Why are we not doing what I call a post-mortem? I did mergers and acquisitions at my old job. After every acquisition, we did a post-mortem. What went right? What went wrong? What are we not going to do again, ever again? So I'm like, why are we not having a COVID post-mortem? You guys in Butte County rolled out mask mandates. Again, the plexiglass, the isolation, you locked us out of our community meetings for about 6 months. The remdesivir, the hospitals got these protocols that are killing people. We need to lay them all on the table, have an agenda item where the public comes in and you say, look, okay, we are never going to do this again. This, and this. Or we need to focus the money we're getting because all this ARPA money, the American Rescue Plan Act money your county got, where is it? Go ask for an audit. They spent millions and trillions of dollars. And what do they do with it? We tend to think that there's some corruption there here in Butte County too. They wanted to build a brand new helicopter pad with the money. No, you're supposed to use the money on recovery, which in my case means how about some money for the vaccine injured? Give us some
Mhm.
detox strategies. Give us some vitamin B12. Give us, I swear, I want to, because again, these mass vaccination clinics that I worked at the fairgrounds in a big warehouse, my whole thing for the county is use the money, let all the vaccinated people you vaccinated, which is probably, I don't know, 100,000 people, they come to the warehouse in this 1 month period of time to unvaccinate themselves. They bring in their vaccine card and you say, have you had any injuries? Let's do a VAERS report for you. Do you need to have your heart monitored? Do you need to get B12? Make sure you do sunshine? Here's a movie called Grounding. Do you know grounding is an actually effective strategy? We have a whole warehouse full of all these strategies. To have McCullough come out, he can set up a little thing for his nanokinase and his, whatever
Mhm.
spike support. All these different things. I mean, the one thing I want to get done for me is an ultrasound to see if those clots are in my body. Those horrible
Yeah.
calamari clot things. Give us an
Mhm.
ultrasound. So spend a couple, $1,000 on every vaccinated person. And at the end of the day, if they want to burn their freaking vaccine card, they can. Like burn your bra, burn your vaccine card thing. Let people get, out of this thing. But no, they look at me like, "What? Are you stupid?" I'm like, "Well, I have a solution." And so, oh my God, my doorbell just rang. The dogs will
Well,
go
go
crazy
ahead.
over.
You can, if you need to answer the door, you can, and I'll address the
Okay,
audience.
well, let me just make sure that the dogs aren't gonna keep barking.
Hey, this is live radio. Hope you enjoy it. Um, so yeah, let me take the time, as I did in a previous instance such as this, to say yes, this is the Bassline Medical Freedom dedicated radio program. I'm going to be speaking live in New York City on September 29th. The address is 122 East 83rd Street, and we are going to start promptly at 1:30 p.m. So please get there beforehand. Show up at 1:15, and I'm going to get promptly into my speech. Hopefully, there will be time for questions and comments after my remarks. And please check out my latest Substack article. Please subscribe to my Substack. Please consider being a paid subscriber. If that is not realistic, be a free subscriber, first of all, and that is fine. Please follow me on Twitter. Earth Driver is my handle. I've met a lot of my guests and a lot of my medical freedom friends on Twitter, so please join the Twitter community that's addressing these matters on a daily basis. And Julie is back, so
Yeah, thank you.
uh,
Sorry, America, for the interruption.
yeah, no, that's cool. That's that little. I like that little wild card factor that lets people know, hey, these are just real conversations.
It really is.
There's
I've
imperfection.
learned my dogs are my like biggest weakness. I don't have the 2-year-old coming in, but I got these dogs. So Lucky's my little yappy chihuahua, and I literally take off his collar now before interviews because he'll want to get on the bed, and then it's all this jangling. I'm like, so yeah, I did not
Yeah.
expect that. I had to get I let somebody borrow my car, so they brought me back the key. So that was a good one to
Oh,
to be interrupted for. So
yeah.
yeah,
No,
so back to solutions. So I mean, so get after if you want to hold somebody accountable, get to your county and find out where's the money go, who made these policies, and make sure you can get active that way. Um, Here's my other brand new kind of one of my newest, what do I want to call it? Battles, I guess. It's with the state. So what am I going to do with state of California? I mean, 58 counties. I mean, who am I going to, but no, I get really active with my state assemblyman, my state senator. I know them both. They don't like me. I knock on their doors and I'm all over their social media posts, Facebook, everywhere, and they do not like me, but too bad. They're both Republican too, by the way. But one took money
you
from
haven't had a
Pfizer.
chance to confront gruesome Newsom, have you?
Oh, I mean, you know what? I've gone in, I mean, the Capitol in Sacramento, it's this beautiful building, and you walk in, it's just gorgeous. But then you see Newsom and you see Rob Bonta, who's our AG, and you're like, ugh, because it's
Wow.
communism. It's straight up full on communism and a whole bunch of horrible things going on. But so yeah, I've gone down to Sacramento, and I've gone to James Gallagher, who's my state assemblyman, and he's
You
the
know what's
rank.
interesting though? It's funny that it occurred to me. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
okay.
like we always think of communism, and we had a great conversation with my friend Tessalina about Marxism and how it fits in the contemporary paradigm, whatever. It's an interesting conversation. But one thing I find fascinating is like, these guys are like quote unquote communist by a lot of people's estimation and description, but it's like they're not rigorous. you know, like the Soviets produced the best chess players in the world. They were excellent engineers and whatnot in their own right, despite all the deficiencies about their society and things that we would not want as freedom loving people. There was a rigorousness of it's like these
Well,
contemporary
I kind
people
of
are
laugh
not
about it too, because
rigorous. They're
no, I mean, so
greedy,
my
they're sloppy, they're
100%.
corrupt.
They wanna rule your life, they wanna but yeah, no, my first husband was a first generation Cuban, and so my in-laws, had literally escaped Cuba when Fidel came marching on the island, and my father-in-law, Grandpa Bombino, he was in the Navy, so he was public enemy number 1. They had to so the US came in and got, all of these freedom fighters from Cuba and it helped them escape, but he could only go himself to Miami. So he leaves behind Ophelia, my mother-in-law, and 2 little babies on the island of Cuba while there is literally a tyrant, dictator, communist, right, Fidel Castro, burning people's homes, taking their businesses like by gun, right? I mean, they ran a business and they came in guns ablazing and took the business, right? That's terrorism, communism, right? It's not like it's kind of this little softish stuff we have here. Certainly not. It took Ophelia had to then probably 6 months in, and you're talking no cell phones in the 50s, right? No computer. She didn't know where Bob was, right? Her husband. They fly her to Costa Rica with the babies to wait to get her green card. So she's in Costa Rica with people she does not know and 2 little babies to wait for a green card to then come to America and meet up with Bob. Those people, when I met his parents, and I walked into their little apartment for the first time, they had a big old picture of Ronald Reagan. and a big American flag. Those people were the most American loving, patriotic people on the planet. They knew communism. It was called a dictator named Fidel Castro. So yeah, I kind of go, okay, we're not really communists here yet, but kind of soft communism.
So
So,
yeah, in terms
but
of
yeah, so
solutions,
yeah. So the
mm,
states, let me get back to
mm,
states. So I'm like, who's responsible for the state of California, right? Seriously. And why is James Gallagher, the assemblyman, not standing up at the kiosk like I do? Why does he not go in front of the state assembly and go, hey, Newsom, why did you poison us with all these vaccines? You know, he probably can't do it, but start
where the
talking.
autism rates through the roof in your state
Oh my God, it's
in a way that's
horrific. It's
historically unprecedented.
1 in
Yeah.
22 if you listen to Kennedy and Shanahan, right? So, and I'm a big Kennedy supporter, by the way. So, but the California Board of Pharmacy. California Board of Pharmacy is my new fight. So there is a California Board of Pharmacy. They are the consumer protection agency for pharmaceutical products given at a pharmacy in California. I'm like, do you know that there are at least 81 people dead in VAERS from a vaccine given at a pharmacy in California? So I'm like, well, my God, I better start going and attending these meetings. So I've gone to 4 now on Zoom. Again, public comment. There's 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. And I've gone on there now 4 times, and you can just see them going, oh God, here comes this Julie Threet from Butte County, talking to us about vaccine injury. But I'm like, there's Lucky. So hold on, America, my dog. So I'm like, you are the protection agency for these pharmaceutical products. You need to recall them. You need to stop them. You need to investigate them. And so now I'm taking on the California Board of Pharmacy as a solution for the state. And then you go to the federal level. What do, Jeremiah? We've got to get a new leadership in. Thank God Kennedy joined Trump, because I'm a loyal Trump supporter, but I had to start supporting Kennedy, because Trump was not saying one dang word about the vaccine. And he was not saying anything about Operation Warp Speed, and he was not taking any responsibility for it. And I couldn't handle it, right? So I started supporting Kennedy here in Butte County. So we got to get those guys in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about my political views here. I'm completely disenchanted with the political process, and
Yeah.
I emulate my heroes, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, who two features of both of their careers is that in their life and times, neither of those gentlemen ever endorsed a political candidate at any point, which I love
Oh,
about them.
wow. That's
Martin Luther King
fascinating.
Jr. never endorsed one political candidate ever, and neither did Malcolm X. They just pressured people who were in power to do the right thing. So they couldn't
Wow.
say they were compromised this way or that way. So I take that position at this point. I'll let
I think
everybody else talk about
position. I mean,
so-called mainstream politics.
it's kind of the independent model, right? Which is, and I hope we eventually get to where there are not two parties. I think in Ireland is now a
I
completely
call it one
independent.
party pretending to be two.
It's or two parties pretending to be, or really being one. I don't know. They are two of the exact same thing. And now that I've become an independent on record, which is called no party preference in California, no party preference. I don't care about the party. I will vote based on policy. I'll vote a Democrat in for city council if I know that they're going to support my causes here in my district. I don't care anymore. I'm not going to look and be loyal to any R or D or anything. It's no party preference for me. I want no party. I want to just go by policy, and have you proven yourself, and go that route. So yeah, it's going to get
It's
crazy.
funny. I have to say, objectively, it's like listening to you speak. It's like that comment you just made. It's like it sort of speaks to this incredible irony that we're wrapped up in, because what you just said right there was a rather liberal thing to say. And now the liberals, quote unquote, will be the ones who are the most staunch, sort of just ideologically identified with their party and not freely discussing issues, or, you know, the notion
Totally.
of bipartisanship is out the window altogether. It's just
Yeah,
oppositional forces.
it
But
really is.
um, also, we do have a little bit of time here before the conclusion of the program, but
Yeah.
I want to give you time to tell people where they can follow you. Tell us your Twitter handle, and any other place where people can keep track of you or support your efforts.
Yeah, thank you very much again for this opportunity. So definitely Twitter X is the battlefield, right? It's where this war is being fought. We know it's the most free speech platform we've got. So definitely follow me there. It's Julie, the number 4, Butte, which is Butte, the number 5, because I ran for supervisor in District 5. So Julie, the number 4, Butte, the number 5. That's my Twitter handle. And yeah, I'm very active there. And if you're on X, share my stuff, push it out there, comment on it, and then obviously DM me if you need anything. And then my email is Julie, the number 4, Butte, the number 5 at gmail.com. If you're out there, Butte County, and you're listening to this, if you work at Enloe, if you work at the Butte Community College, if you worked with me at those clinics, please reach out to me. We have filed a criminal complaint with Sheriff Honey. And I gave Sheriff Honey all of my evidence, and I've given him all the materials, and he has referred it to the DA. So DA Mike Ramsey has got my criminal complaint, and I've got a petition circulating, which is on X, where anybody, you don't have to live in this county, can sign support to get Mike Ramsey to act on my criminal complaint and get Danette York, our public health director, investigated and prosecuted. And so, signing that petition, there's no money required. Again, it's just to show that there's a lot of eyeballs across this country in the medical freedom movement that are concerned and want to see at least one county held accountable for the COVID crimes. And so, sign the petition. Again, it's out there on X. And if you are in Butte County and you want to join my criminal complaint by being a stated victim and preparing for trial and preparing to be another victim, I've got at least 3 of us. One's dead, and then 2 of us are extremely injured. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to be alone in suffering. You can actually now stand up and do something, and I will lead you down that path. And if we get one county public health director prosecuted and held to account, the rest should follow, and it should go right up the chain to then Fauci, right? It's not that far. So that would be great. Facebook, I do here locally. So it's Julie Threet, Threet on Facebook. But Julie 4 Butte 5 on Instagram is probably the other one. So yeah.
Yeah, so on social media, please look for Julie Threet. She's active. Share the videos of her confronting officials about these very serious matters. Emulate her actions if you can. The more people we have just amplifying this discussion, the sooner we can get some justice, the sooner we can get some policies changed, and the sooner we can actually establish some human dignity here, because there's a violation against our dignity. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
I do want to add as well that in general, I love the concept of an energized attitude. When I go to my martial arts class, I'm not the quitter in the class. I don't need water. I don't need anything. I want to train. I want to work hard. If I'm on a moving team, I've done moving jobs before. I want to lift and move as much as any man on the team. I don't want to be a slacker. I want to jump in and help somebody when they're grabbing the heaviest thing to move. So, if we can energize our movement, that kind of attitude of just being active, supporting, passing the ball, getting things up the hill. I think that great things can be achieved. We have to avoid any sort of lethargic attitude at any time. We're a little bit sluggish at times, and I must say very earnestly to the folks listening to this program, and I appreciate so greatly the support I've received. It's really heartwarming. But I am going to also be realistic and say, sometimes I do get a little bit frustrated because, and I might have used the analogy on air before, but I feel like a musician who's playing my butt off, sitting there in the park or something, and people are just kind of flipping me a couple pennies here and there, and I'm like, hey, doesn't anybody just have like a dollar bill they could put in the hat? I don't just mean that in a monetary sense. I mean literally in terms of, I might write a really great article and I'll announce, hey, I have a new article. It's okay, one new like. It's like, come on, guys, go tell your friends. Go get my well-written articles, hundreds of likes, and share them and utilize them for what they're for. Same things with and same thing with the episodes of this program. Go back through the archives. If there's one particular conversation that stands out to you as something that needs to be passed along to another particular person, please go ahead and do so. Those little actions, I do really believe, add up when we do that across the board. And I've also said, on Twitter in particular and in the real world, we do have some really outstanding leaders in the medical freedom movement. And we have to rally around those leaders. You have Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, who was a guest on this program, who not only was very public in terms of her confrontation with Houston Methodist Hospital, she also has compiled a list of elected officials and candidates who have agreed to call for the removal of the COVID shots from the market. That's a phenomenal feat that she's done in terms of establishing that precedent and that list, and monitoring its growth and conveying the growth of the officials who have gotten on board with this. Dr. Kat Lindley, Dr. Andrew Zhivjets. I mean, I hate to mention people because then I leave out other people who are equally phenomenal, but whomever you consider to be the best of the best in this movement, retweet their tweets every day. Share the information in their information hardy notifications. When you pass this information around, you're helping to educate the public. And that's another thing in terms of counteracting this notion that we're not up to learning and we're not up to understanding what's going on. No, we're capable of understanding a few things. It's like if a doctor explains something to me, it doesn't mean I'm going to go then and try to perform surgery. They could say, hey, this is what we can do about the situation, and you can understand what they say and you can take the information and act accordingly. But we're almost being taught like, these experts are just above and beyond us, and you little people couldn't even comprehend one thing, so just do what you're told. No, that's not how we would like to live. We want to be as well informed as possible. We want to work in harmony with people who have greater expertise so that we can all be educated and we can help them in their practices, and they can help us be informed, not patients, but rather students, like Dr. Henry Ely would prefer to say.
Oh, I love him. Yeah. I mean, when did we stop getting second opinions, right? It used to be you needed to go get a second and a third opinion before anything from your medical, doctors. And now it became where no, you don't ask for a second opinion, right? That's a crime now. So yeah, we got to get back to questioning everything. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. When I ran for office, I was the first one to sign her pledge. It's americansforhealthfreedom.org. And in California. And that's a really good americansforhealthfreedom.org. Go see if your elected official or one of your candidates is on that list. And if they're not, start pushing the list out and start tagging them. Start tagging them going, why are you not on this list? Right.
You made history again. So you're the first one to sign the list. That's
wherever I go, I
go. They need a monument for that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. But yeah, I love your analogy about the used car salesman. We were sold a lemon, y'all, and Jeremiah was the one that told me this yesterday when we had a preview meeting. It was like, yeah, we were sold a lemon. This vaccine is a complete lemon, and we would never.
Yeah, like I said, imagine your car breaks down, and what do? You immediately and furiously go into defense of the car salesman who ripped you off. That's not the way it's supposed to work, guys. You're supposed to be angry at someone who lied to you. But you know what? We're kind of out of time here.
Fantastic.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to exceed the time limit here because we have a great program coming up right behind us. But thank you so much, Julie Threet. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you so much for your activism and for your inspiring efforts that you've put forth on behalf of all of us. So thank you, and keep up the great work.
Kudos to you for actually reaching out to the vaccine injured. It's definitely something we need. So thank you, Jeremiah.
I appreciate that. So I'll talk to you soon, and have a wonderful day for you and for everyone out there.
When you walk with open arms towards the sun, you feel the warmth of the rays, and then you know you're alive and you don't have to be afraid of anything, 'cause you know the truth, and the truth is love, yes it is. Wasn't what they said to you, or anything that you learn from a book or from the news. It's not like that, 'cause it's a thing. It is something that you do. Doop 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 a doo. Doop 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 a doo. Doop 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 a doo. Dib on baby did long. Doop 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 a doo. Doop 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 a doo. Doop 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 a doo. Dib on baby did love's the highest truth. Nothing could be higher than love, my friend. Love's the deepest truth. Nothing could be deeper than love, my friend. When you stop and you take the time just to think about your life, you'll recall the ones you love and the ones who were always there for you. Better thank those friends better. You better make amends. Go and tell them now, yeah. Tell them what they mean